Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing well, and welcome to WoWFEST Lockdown. My name is Kieran Hodgers, and I'm a project manager for Writing on the Wall, and I am delighted to be hosting the Violette for this light night lockdown mixtape of poetry and words and inspiring stories. It has been a week since we've launched WoWFEST. We've had the fantastic Irvin Welch and Noam Chomsky. We've had discussions on the NHS and BAME workers on the front line. So this feels like a really important way to finish a week of somewhat difficult, heavy, but vitally important events. And I'm really pleased to be hosting Will Burns, Carla Meller, Roy, and Toria Garbo for this event. We're absolutely chuffed to have them with us. They're good friends of the festival, and you know them already. You know how amazing they are. So put your feet up, pour a glass of wine. I know I have. It is a Friday night, and we are here to comfort you, inspire you, lift you up, and set you on a good way for the rest of your weekend. So I want to say a few things first about WoWFEST. Please check out the rest of the program. We have some absolutely amazing events that you do not want to miss. Next week, we've got Stuart McConey and Drag Queen Glamru talking about their memoir. To close the festival, we have the one and only Jeremy Corbyn talking about a call to the arts, about the value and the meaning and role of the arts in lockdown. Finished by none other than Levi Jafari, Liverpool's urban griot and a good friend of Writing on the Wall. So that's going to be a proper good night to end off what's been a fantastic festival so far. The website is wowfest.uk. Check it out, see what you like, come check out some more events. We are asking for donations. All donations will be split 3 ways between fan support and food banks, South Liverpool Domestic Abuse Services, and Writing on the Wall. So that's one way you can support local communities in Liverpool. I want to thank our sponsors, of course, Arts Council England, Liverpool City Council, the Institute for Creative Enterprise at Edge Hill University, Unison Northwest, and Liverpool John Moores University. Without their funding, we could not make this work, and we are seeing how valuable this work is at this time when everyone is stuck indoors and stressed out about global pandemics and being locked down and possibly being on furlough. So we are here to bring you high quality arts and literature and writing, and hopefully inform, inspire, entertain, and just to have a good time, to connect in these distancing times. Before I introduce our first poet, it is customary for the host to do a poem. In these weird times, I've been thinking a lot about nature, and we're using it a lot more. We're walking in parks a lot more. Parks are busier now more than ever. We're really reaching out to the natural environment to support our mental health, to just punctuate our day. And I've been thinking about what nature can teach us in this time. Might sound a little bit hippy-dippy, but bear with me. And this poem is called Incentivizing Falling to the Dead Weight. Slowly over time, but realized suddenly, their tongue stopped doing the thing they'd now forgotten the word for. In searching for it, they lost themselves in the forest, plucked the nerves from their wrists, wrapped them round the roots, grouped each as a guest of the other. The soil dug deep, as it does. Found it wasn't a misplaced mouth, but a heart so close to exploding that if they gave it breath, it'd blow into a sinewy, splattered sweep of branches, veins having burst into wings, proof maybe that a world this harsh can turn you inside out after all. Instead, they got dew drunk and suckered, felt the beauty of each dutiful ache, incentivizing falling to their dead weight, and sacked the spider's web sold as safety net. Dropped the deceit and debt of power, sweetened the bitter of never being told souls don't glow on the underside. They found a new levity in letting go, allowing the winds to hoist them to a mumbling storm where clouds like inkwells waited for the tips of leaves to swell and write cursive in the breeze, stories they could never tell, could never grasp the hand of. Couldn't queer round its accents, the feeling fell fallow to disappointment. The same sick gavel that brought them here took them, back to pouring medicine from the wrong bottle, back to being scared in safety, back to echoing oracle, back to sleep dark as strata, until at some point waking. This time from a febrile dream with this green thing and umbilical shoot, this chlorophyll question mark sprouting in pursuit of light, asking, will you grow with me? Patient in our progress and sure of the course, will you allow, as clear and intentional as a leaf opens to the sun, all your thoughts to become oxygen? Are you ready to see language as an ecosystem? That your tongue coexists with the shifting sands it lives amidst, that the conditions of its soil is never fixed, and that we transform when we persist and listen to something within ourselves we might have just missed. Thanks very much. I'm going to assume there's rapturous applause because it is very strange performing to a screen with no audience in the room, but I have faith that you're out there and listening and hopefully enjoying it. Our first poet up for the evening is the amazing Carla Meller. She is an up-and-coming spoken word poet, and her poem, A United Kingdom, featured on BBC Breakfast, which is no mean feat at all. She was a guest poet for our good friend Louise Fazackley at her recent book launch, which is an amazing book, and she told me about it. Born and bred in Yorkshire, she currently lives in Wigan and has begun posting Instagram poems in 2018 as @Poetry for the People, writing accessible, down-to-earth, relatable words for the everyday person. Without any further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome to the digital stage, Carla Meller.
Okay, just checking that I was unmuted there. So, hi, I'm Carla, coming to you from my spare room in Wigan, which is the one room in the house. Before this, I've never spent any time in, but now it seems to be where I work from home and do poetry gigs, so it's coming in pretty useful. So, got a bit of wall art going on here, which is actually a futon frame with some fairy lights because I ran out of room and I needed to fit a desk in here, so got a bit creative there. So the first poem I'm going to do, if I keep looking down, I'm reading some of them. I'm not just in the queue for B&Q or putting an Asda delivery in or anything. The first one I'm going to do is called There's a Junkie in Our Kitchen, which is based on an experience I had as a child, just sort of playing around with words that really don't fit into childhood and how you look at something when you're older. So. There's a junkie in our bathroom. He's stood over the sink, wide eyes on running water. He doesn't even blink. He's mumbling to himself. His hands are proper shaking. Been washing them so long, his nails have started flaking. There's a junkie in our kitchen, pacing up and down. He just won't stand still, with a fag hanging out of his mouth. There's a junkie in our living room, sitting on our blue chenille settee, staring at the ringing house phone, chewing holes in his jumper sleeve. There's a junkie in our garden. He let me comb his hair. I put some clips and bows in and he let me leave them there. There were a junkie in our house. We were playing hide and seek, but he's nowhere to be found and I've been looking now for weeks. I ask about the junkie. They just say he's gone away. I don't know why or where. I hope he'll come back someday. There's no junkie in our house now to play fun games with me, fondly call me ratbag and sit down with us for tea. There's a man at my front door. He's familiar to me. He looks just like the junkie did, but different, older, clean. Thanks. I'll go on to the next one, which is based around a nickname I had when I was younger. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's called Half a Can Carla. Very cool nickname, I know. So I'll go into that one. Half a Can Carla, they called me, but I disagreed. Look here, see, it was special brew. It's fucking lethal. Washed down with 3 shots of some liqueur that tastes like peach and smelt like treacle. Let's not forget all the knockoff L&Bs my mate's mum had sold us cheap. in dodgy packaging, flecked with brown, where they got wet and then dried out. What were even in them? I couldn't really say. They were rancid, but the Nicky Rush were ace. They hurt to smoke, like inhaling glass, but we only paid £2 a pack. They smelt like fish, but then so did the whole of that fucking town. So we sucked in mould, drank stolen beer on park, on beach, on North End Pier, and I got this nickname, Half a Can Carla. I'd always wanted a nickname, but this one worked cool, and I got stuck with it for the last 3 years of school. And I remember the event well, because I want that smashed. I just pretended I was, because there were this lass. I wanted so badly to hold her hand as I sat there sipping half of my can. So I pretended to fall over drunk so she'd help me stay upright, because half a can Carla, it was better than Dyke. Thanks. It's really weird not having like anyone cheer or laugh in between, so I'll just imagine that everyone's cheering. Yay. This next one is called Under the Carpet. This is about an experience that happened to me when I was younger that no one spoke about, no one speaks about now. It's just a bit of an elephant in the room. So I looked at it as an adult, sort of from a child's perspective, I guess, and just tried to put it into words. So, just lift up the corners of the rug, take that great big brush and sweep it all under the carpet. There's no need to talk about it. What will the neighbours think? What will they say? Just keep my clothes clean and food in my belly, and we'll all sit around and just stare at the telly. There's no need for confrontation or even any conversation. Let's just be like ships that pass in the night. Even in the day, it's fine. It's okay. Nobody died. Nearly, but not quite. It doesn't warrant flowers or cards or time to grieve. You can't mourn someone who is still alive, who only wanted to leave this life. There's no need for therapy. Just put the kettle on and have a cup of tea, and don't cry because nobody died. We don't need to talk about it. We just need to put it aside, pretend it never happened, and get on with our lives. If there's naught to say about the weather or what's for tea, we'll sit in silence and smile politely. You might comment on the time of day, things that I need to tidy away. You won't ask how I feel. There's no need for that. It's far too real. We don't do that here in our little northern town, in this little terraced house, where the carpets are always hoovered and the windows are always clean and there's never any dirt or dust, and the bins are always out on time. Thank you. Just gonna have a quick drink, a bit of a dry throat, and I'll move on to the next one. Bit of a theme, but the next one's actually based on another nickname that I imagine a lot of people will have had. It's not just one for me. So if you know, you know. This is called Netto Basher, if anyone remembers Netto. If anyone was poor enough growing up like me. So I'll go into that. Looking up at Norton Towers, I thought they looked like New York skyscrapers, and that the electric pylon up on moors that I could see from my bedroom window was so far away. It must be the Eiffel Tower, because I was small enough that the whole world fit into Sorby Bridge. I remember it in colours, mostly green and grey. We'd play on the grassy roundabout in the middle of the road all day, where amongst crisp packets and white dog poo, dandelions bloomed, stubborn weeds with deepest roots. And just like them, we were weeds, not flowers, popping up in terraces and high-rise towers. We sprung up here and there with dirty faces and knotted hair. Us kids on the street were everywhere, running wild down Ginnells, loitering outside the offie, hanging out in car parks, always getting gobby. Because the park near us, well, it wasn't even that. It was one swing set on a concrete slab, and the seats were always wrapped around frame, nothing to do but graffiti your name on big wooden fence that boxed us all inside, a gaping hole in floor from where a rusty roundabout used to reside. Just another forgotten northern town, where mills and factories all shut down, and the only thing that was made there in the 90s were us, popping up everywhere like dirty little weeds, blooming up as baby boomers had more kids than they could even feed, hand-me-downs and leaving the bathwater in for your sister, brother, father, mother, that bloke down the street, any old bugger, sitting on the cellar roof after school and shouting, "Ma'am, ma'am, Provy man is here," and you'd correct me, "It's Provident, lass, don't be crass," as you handed over to the loan shark your hard-earned brass, pretending like we weren't textbook working class. For school, you'd take a marker pen to the back of my break time crisps to stop that netto Scotty dog on that yellow rectangle of his, taunting me. And if you ever forgot, those kids who proudly shovelled quavers and skips into their privileged little gobs would spit crumbs at me as they mouthed, "Povo, Povo, your mum shops at Netto." Cheers. This next one is for anyone that has ever worked in an office. So working in an office, I'm not slating it, it's fine. It's a reasonable job. But there's a lot of people that do this thing that I like to call bullshit bingo. So you'll go into a meeting and people use these phrases that actually mean fuck all. And they just try and use them to make themselves sound clever, but they're really, really irritating. So if you sort of recognise any of them, you'll feel my pain. If you don't, good for you. But this is 9 to 5. When we were small, they told us we could be out like an astronaut, a doctor, a poet reading Dyke. But it's 6 a.m. and my phone's beeping. Got to be in early for an 8 o'clock meeting. I wonder if Dolly Parton started her 9 to 5 on the 7:15 train, delayed how many years until I'm 65? As we trudged down the platform, we all looked the same, umbrellas at the ready for the Manchester rain, suits and briefcases, tight covered legs, queues out the door for Starbucks and Greggs, crammed in lifts like tin sardines, staring down at smartphone screens, black coffee in mugs that try to be funny, keep calm and carry on, fuck this, do I really need the money? Fluorescent lighting, clicking pens, all caged in like battery hens. Does anyone have an agenda? Does anyone really care? Any other business? This is a nightmare. Pie charts and numbers up on a screen. I smile and nod, but I just want to scream. 30 years of living, 17 in education, and I'm cornered in kitchen, making polite conversation. Look at the weather, how was the train? I don't give a shit, I'm going insane. Keith's had a haircut, Dave's got a new tie. What am I doing? What is my life? Acronyms and business speak, blue sky thinking makes me seethe. We're in the weeds, let's car park that idea, let's take it offline, I need a fucking beer. And I imagine them all unzipping their skin and stepping out of the suits, the human within, and they'll talk like normal people and their eyes will light up like they do Friday at lunchtime when we're down at the pub. But fuck it, it's almost 12 anyway. If I can make it to lunchtime, I might be okay. By 2 o'clock, I seem to know what everyone is having for the tea when they're home. Someone said Darren might be leaving his wife. Why am I so invested in these people's lives? From how many sugars they have in their tea to what's on offer at their local Aldi, the names of their kids, their team for the footy, and what colour sauce they have on the butty. And I don't want to care, because I don't want to be here, but they probably feel the same, and we're stuck here by fear. So we crack on with meetings and pick up the phone, send another email whilst having a moan. We banter and brew till the clock strikes 5, and thank fucking God when we make it out alive. Thank you. This next one is about the first job I ever had, which was at a fish and chip shop when I was 14, which is a bit of child slave labour if you ask me, but my parents seemed to think that that was acceptable. So I lived in a little seaside town just outside of Hull from the ages of like 12 to 18, hence the sort of jumbled up accent. And yeah, that was my first job, working at a chip shop. So this is just about that. Apron on, hair pulled back, peeling spuds right from the sack. Oil coats everything and everything sticks to oil. Not much that can't be battered, buttered, drenched in vinegar. Radio crackles from the grease in the speaker. For $2.50 an hour, this is where she spends her weekends. Her varnished fingers trace sodium hearts on the metal counter. Make a wish. She blows the grains, her distorted reflection is makeup melting off and teenage pimples protruding through her $3.99 market slap. Wage in a brown envelope and a free bag of scraps to take away for the girl who dreams of flying away like the seagulls could, but they don't, they stay. 'Cause for some, she knows, hunting for scraps, whatever they can grab, is just the way. Hard to muster the courage to be brave enough to escape when even something with wings chooses to stay. I've just got one more, which is about my granddad. He was obsessed with karaoke to the point where he used to make these little tapes like this, and he used to drop them off at families' houses, sometimes friends' houses. I mean, my mum used to clean for these two women, and they used to be playing it when we went round like he was Elvis or something. And it was just my granddad singing karaoke, like them blokes you get on Market Street in Manchester that are like, take a CD, take a CD. He was basically that guy. So this is it. You were obsessed with karaoke, shelves of books, handwritten lyrics in your military cursive, a sea of cassettes all perfectly labelled in alphabetical order. You time-stamped every recording, testing, 1, 2, 3, every time I came round for tea. In your attic, when my mum used to sleep, you'd tell me, when she was small, like me, grandchild one of so many I lost count. Yeah, he's my cousin, she is too. It never stopped, just grew and grew. Not one of us could fucking sing, all tone deaf if anything. My sister sang, everything I do it for you. And it were true, because she did. And I was 3 steps to heaven, Viva España. It's my party and I'll cry if I want to. Daydream believer, and I always sang the word instrumental. And you were, will you still love me tomorrow? And I always did. Followed by, you're always on my mind and you are. Finished off with top of the world, and I aren't religious, but that's where I think of you now. And we laughed when you'd pop round to ours every now and again with a cassette of you singing all your tunes, impeccably labelled Benny 98. And I've got a Walkman, Grandad. I listen to you sometimes and I forgot you had a lisp. And now when you'd mess up, you'd say, start again, Ben. And it brings a tear to my eye every time because you're singing my life. 1, red, red wine. 2, greatest love of all. 3, never be anyone else. 4, poetry in motion. Instrumental, instrumental, instrumental. And I think of you when it's Saturday night and I'm at the movies, or when I walk the streets of Manchester listening to the rhythm of the rain. When times are good and I feel like it's a wonderful world, I swear I can feel you on the corner of any and every road, pulling up in your blue Volvo packed full of grandkids. You were king of the road, we were 2 to a seatbelt, the little ones sat in boot, fingers sticky from jam butties and orange juice, ducking down when police cars passed as you blasted out the carpenters and explained to us how health and safety is just for people with no common sense. And I know fuck all about history, biology, or the French I took, but I do know how to make a belting roll-up and pour a cracking pint of Guinness, and I reckon you'd have preferred that, to be honest. And I swear I can feel you stand by me when I'm sitting on the dock of the pier, because I live in Wigan and there's no bays here. And in answer to your question, all those years ago, yeah, Grandad, I'll save the last dance for you. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Carla. I'm going to give her an applause because there's lots of thumbs up and applause coming in for your poetry. Granddads are awesome. You're awesome. Lots of nice little comments. Lots of people commenting on what they're eating, which is quite interesting. Family size popping candy, chocolate and Doritos. Sounds good. Someone said they were at the bar and they missed the start of it, so you're just going to have to bring the bar into the sitting room, I think, mate. I think that's going to be the best thing for it. Someone said they're in tears. That was wonderful. I'm going to have to check out your Guinness pulling skills there, Carla. Put you to the test for a real Irishman. Lots of love coming in for that, Carla. Right, next up is Will Burns. Will was raised and born in London and lives in Buckinghamshire. He likes sports, gardening and birds, and is poet in residence for the online journal Caught by the River. He was named as a favourite new poet in 2014 with his first pamphlet published that year. His second pamphlet was published in 2016 as part of the Clue Tag Press 4 poem series, and a third pamphlet, Germ Songs, was published with Rough Trade Books in 2019. Also in 2019, he released the album Chalk Hill Blue, a collaborative work with the composer Hannah Peel, which set a number of his poems to her music. And country music is his first collection, and it's an excellent collection. You should most certainly check it out. So please keep yourselves round of applause going, and welcome to the digital stage, Will Burns.
Evening, everybody. I'm just going to get on with this, assuming that you can all hear. I'm going to start near the beginning of my book, Country Music, with a song that might explain the prop, the poem that might explain the prop. And this one goes out to my brother, if he's out there. Drive south, listening to country music. 20 miles from the trout farm, there is just music and the green Volvo and the clouds. Breaking open now where it had been raining hard. I'm wishing it was a whole continent we had to travel into, with drives that last whole days to get to the water, and big game fish, and names like Sockeye and Wahoo to learn. A land ready to receive us, right to the edge of the mesa. But happy enough too, with our worn hills of hacked up chalk, driving half an hour with you, the quiet brother, and the pedal steel flowing into your silence, like all your best fish. I'll use the hat. For this next one, a summer blues, and maybe something in that title that we can all relate to this year. Summer blues. The blue wall and the house holding here like a burr in the shade of Shiver Hill. The begging and begging for you to build again. This time something cool and that will last and high up in the trees. But you aren't the man you appeared to be that first night on Prospect Street. So the hard mornings after, mornings of frying eggs in a skillet, spitting oil against the wall, blue as a chalk hill blue, a crust of ladybirds inked, dead in the kitchen window, and guitar strings that might rust to blue or ring forever. And my nights like a praying drunk, smashed and alone, and falling asleep, watching YouTube clips of catfish rising and taking pigeons, teal, a dog even, off the water's broken surface. This kind of deep dark is all I will ever earn. I'm just gonna plow on through the poems without reference, apart from this one, to the lack of applause, because it's not new to me. This is exactly like it would be any other poetry performance of mine. Absolute silence and an empty room to greet every poem. So next up, I thought I'd read poems really that referenced music in some way, partly because of the connection that La Violette have with music, and the friends we have in common, people like Jeff and Andrew and Diva at Caught by the River, all sort of music heads, and I've tried to put a fair bit of that in this book, and this poem is named for Big Star Song 13. The train stations of Middle England with their parkway epithets, fried breakfasts and untidy homeliness, a couple of buzzards, farmland, almost nothing to see. I notice a certain harmony for the first time on an old song, something I must have been missing for years, as if it had never been. I wonder what it would feel like to talk to you once more about that small noise, that near inaudible voice. And I'll read this next one and dedicate it to the person I share this tiny little space with, Nina Hervey, my wife. In fact, I'll just show you. This is the first time I've really properly read live from this book, and it's the first. So it's the first time that I've had it in my hand and read the poems from it. But I'll just show this my favourite page of the whole book there. Yeah, so this poem's about when I first met Nina, who's my wife now, and she's got a family from Liverpool, which is referenced in the poem, and why I feel warmly about the place. A Chinese restaurant called Happiness. The first time we met, you asked how I'd be spending the night. A couple of Coronas, Lowry and Calexico, if I remember it right. That book, or was it a life of letters, poems, fragments? You let yourself out in increments. Best liked Chinese dish here, sweet and sour prawns, a painter there, Chrysophili, and was it Vasily Kandinsky? The Beatles, White Album, George, Your Mother's City. We stopped talking one day, but we weren't really talking by that stage anyway, just pitting messages against one another. A channel between us and everything meager, everything scrap, where you wanted honest fodder. The one time I flew over to visit, I looked out of the window for the whole flight, imagined all the living being done, unseen, implicit, in each minuscule framed portion of sea. That's about flying to Jersey, not flying to Liverpool over the sea. That I don't know where. I suppose I could live in Ireland if that was the case, and that would make sense. But I don't. Not that matters particularly to the poem, really. I mean, okay, now I've ruined it. You could probably imagine me living anywhere. I could live anywhere. So the next one, another music reference, yeah, photograph of Chet Baker. A face like penance, or perhaps just somebody looking down at the keys of a piano. Most things appear twice, but not the piano hinge, of course. The face, the hair, justifiably so. But the matinee idol looks always alluded to something not quite him, something to escape from. A trumpet player who sang, a singer who played trumpet. He had 2 sets of front teeth. The first ruined in a fight along with his embouchure. The next, a denture, built to last. The years in Europe, a home from home, a classic second act. The trumpets on shipbuilding and live at Ronnie Scott's. A new generation, another bite, not at art, but at a career. A film of his life that wasn't his life. In Amsterdam, he fell out of a window. The police report states that the 2 substances found in his room were also found in his body. So that's my little ode to Chet, and also to a photograph of Chet, a little bit of both. Yeah. So I'm going to race through last few here. Oh, I'm going to put the hat back on for this one. This is a poem kind of dedicated to Texan country singer slash detective novel writer called Kinky Friedman, and actually he ran for Texas governor as well a few years ago. And yeah, Faber published his detective novels late 90s, I think early 2000s. Well worth a read. Politically, they might not have aged as well as they might in some ways, but they are nevertheless a humorous romp through New York and through Kinky's own love of Sherlock Holmes and the classic detective tradition. But he's a big wearer of a big black hat and a smoker of cigars. But unfortunately, this cottage will go up in flames if I light a cigar. So the hat it is. And perhaps I'll raise a glass to the Kinkster. So this poem's called Reading Kinky Friedman. Hair of the dog, beer, tomato juice, Tabasco, ice, a bit of pedal steel, and I'm back at that bar with a shuffleboard and tamales, reading Kinky Friedman, playing at Sherlock Holmes in New York. What was it he wrote? Something about Elvis and Coca-Cola, a bad joke about where to get good Mexican food, a country song called They Don't Make Jews Like Jesus Anymore. So that's to you, Kinky, who has no idea of my existence, and I would be hugely surprised if he was tuning in, but you never know, and that's the beauty of the internet, I suppose. So I'm just going to read a couple more poems, just aware of time. So yeah, and this one's going to be dedicated to my mum and dad, and I suppose I sort of dedicate the poem to them and blame them for my slightly anachronistic, although I am approaching middle age now, slightly anachronistic love of country music. They slightly indoctrinated me in all things twang, and I was brought up in a house surrounded by Graham Parsons records and the new traditionalists like Lyle Lovett and Randy Travis, and that slightly feeds into this poem, although this poem takes its title from the Lowell George solo album. Lowell George was the singer in Little Feat, so another musical reference here. It's called Thanks, I'll Eat It Here. The baby boomer method, a dad taking aim with his record collection. This one's for you and all that. I took his choice to mean I left more than the usual mess. Got us both arrested the previous Christmas, for instance. Unmended all manner of fences. 20 million other things not done. There was a day I just stopped working, and of course there was a you who was all I could think about. It's different with a little age, more calm, less sabotage, less blue. The same lyrics have us talking now about Lowell for a boy's name, if, given all that old chaos, we should still try. And I'll just rattle through another quick couple. And this one's another family poem, a grandfather poem as well. And this is my little acquiescence to form. You know, you've all heard those people telling you that it's not a poem unless it rhymes. And I thought it was something that people always said to me. Anthony McGowan in the Authors Cricket Club was always lambasting me for writing non-rhyme poems. So I wrote this, and it's called Biography. Every impression of a quiet life, steady, long, a fishing coat and bird book impression, the workshop at the bottom of the garden, the pottering, the seedlings needing potting on, another cricket season, finished in the cold of autumn, mouthfuls of siskin song, the war years and post-war years, young, alive, strong, awkward military school impressions, something post-colonial, subtropical, Indian, the fundamentally disagreeing about or with or on the wearing of jeans or your hair too long, the years of impressing his opinion, whatever it happened upon, the strangeness of a new generation, difficulty with computers, suspicion, the antivirus, anti-malware obsession, a late lingering on, a slight malingering, regression, palliative care, fat gut, all gone, the unconvincing conviction there was life yet to come, one last bad night, all done. Those first, earliest impressions, to who do they belong? The council flat and dog piss stained, kitchen linoleum, summers of maggots and the bins that overrun, somebody else's life spun on, his life in short. You just played the part of son. So yeah, I think looking at the time, I'm gonna leave it there. Not the cheeriest Friday night kind of note to leave you with, but perhaps that's appropriate for a book called Country Music. It's a seamless segue into the plug there. And I wanted to say thanks to WoWFEST and La Violette for inviting me to read some poems for you tonight. Such a shame that all these things are virtual and we're not able to travel the country and visit each other in wonderful cities and commune in that way. But thanks again, everyone, for having me tonight, and thanks for listening. And we shall meet again, I'm sure. See you later. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Will. Lots of love for the hat there. Someone said voice like chocolate and nice cushions, which is a particularly nice little piece of feedback. Someone saying more. So very, very much love to you there, Will. Thank you so much. So we're going to take this opportunity to take a little break. So you can go to the toilet, go for a smoke, go to the bar, which will be your kitchen. But we will not, we won't go anywhere. I'm going to just talk to you a little bit more about some of the events coming up in WoWFEST. So if you're new to WoWFEST and you don't know what it is, we are a creative writing festival. We've been going for 20 years and we run for the whole month of May. So there is still quite a lot for you to get your chops around for the rest of the month. Next week, we have a really fantastic event looking at the role of media in lockdown. Some really important questions there about, you know, how the media is giving the public the right information. Are they giving us the right information? We have The Football Men, which is a documentary screening of some archive footage around football managers, and some great panel discussions and poetic responses to the content of that documentary, which is going to be another really interesting event. On Wednesday, we've got an evening with Rosie Jones, the comic, who's going to be talking about their experience of being a woman in comedy and their journey through the comic landscape. On Thursday, we have Carmen Press's Resist, Stories of Uprising, including stories on the Liverpool dock strike, the Grenfell Tower fire, and the Notting Hill riots, which is going to be a really just absolutely like important conversation for now. How do we resist and how do we fight for real social change? A lot of those events are very close to WoW's heart, so it feels particularly important for us to be discussing that. And then on Friday, we've got the one and only Stuart McConey from BBC Radio 6 Music talking about his new book, The Nanny State Made Me, chaired by Cash Carraway. I think that's another very timely event for the state that we're living in, which you know, we've had Stuart before, and he's just an absolute fantastic speaker, and just a wonderful person who brings a real light to some very important discussion. Then on Monday the 25th, we have Building a Better World, Art and Civic Responsibility with our very own Madeline Hennigan, the renowned theatre critic Lynn Gardner, and Clara Colgan from Culture Liverpool. A very important event there to talk about how arts organisations should function and what the role of arts organisations is in this current lockdown. Arts organisations are being hit really hard by lockdown, as everyone is, but we're also being, you know, it's an opportunity for arts organisations to step up to the plate a little bit and show the value of arts in society. And then next Wednesday, 27th, we've got the one and only Phil Scraton, who is a long-standing friend of Writing on the Wall, and he's always a fantastic speaker, so do check that out. Thursday the 28th, we've got Glamru, or Amru Al-Kadi, talking about their memoir Unicorn, the memoir of a Muslim drag queen, in conversation with Britain's first out Muslim drag queen, Asifa Lahore. That book is absolutely beautiful. I've read it, and it's just a wonderful look at race, gender, faith, class, whiteness, colonialism, performance. So I highly, highly recommend you check that out. Friday the 29th, we've got comic Francesca Martinez in conversation with her brother, the painter, philosopher, and writer Raul Martinez, about questioning the status quo, what COVID-19 has exposed in terms of the systems that we work within, how it's exposing a lot of bias, structural bias within our economy, our press, our parliament. So I think that's going to be a really fantastic event. And again, as always, Jeremy Corbyn, A Call to the Arts, Sunday the 31st. Do not miss it. It's a really, really fantastic event, and we're really excited to be welcoming Jeremy to Liverpool digitally. And finished off by Levi Tafari, the one and only Liverpool Urban Grill. So we've got a real varied program of events for you to check up in. There's loads of stuff there I haven't mentioned. We've got story time events for kids, and a few other events for younger, sort of like 11 plus ages. So if you've got any kids at home and you're running out of homeschooling teaching plans, come and join us. Check them out on our website, WoWFEST.uk. We've got some life writing workshops and loads more. So do check it out. And whilst we kind of just wait for the break to finish, I'm going to do another poem, just so that you're not bored. Hopefully this poem won't bore you anymore. Again, going back to nature, the title of this poem is Féileacáin, which is the Irish word for butterfly. And Féile is the Irish word for party. So Féileacáin translates literally to a little flying party. And in the spirit of doing something maybe a bit daring or a bit scary, this is very new, and it's probably not even finished, if I'm completely honest. And I want to dedicate it to three people who have been having really great conversations with in lockdown, and have been kind of keeping my creative spirit, my creative side going these last couple of weeks. Ben Meller, Lindsay Price, and Angus Taylor, my poor housemate who is stuck with me in lockdown. I feel for him. He's upstairs watching this, which must be strange because I'm downstairs hosting it. So thank you guys so much for the chats. It's been absolutely ace. And this is Féileacáin. Have you ever put yourself on the right path without really meaning to? Started doing something new or out of character, only to find it's exactly what you'll need when the time comes? The caterpillar has. Driven by a senseless need, they'll eat until they're ready to start adventuring. At some unspecific time with vague direction, something says they'll see it when they arrive, where, surprise, you are about to become a butterfly. So first, let the nerves, bones, and muscles wither with trauma, ego, and doubt. Have you ever felt yourself melt like this? Have you ever felt like you needed to? Though we make unlikely caterpillars, we get lost in ourselves as well. But if we can be still and level, hibernation lets us reassemble our broken links and nurture that nameless instinct from before we felt ourselves changing. We connect the dots of how we might soon fly into a map of where we will collect our neglected parts from throughout a scattered universe. And when it happens, do you think we'll remember what we were before? Will we pick new names? Will we ache over what it took to get there? I used to think butterflies were fragile, that they break too easily. But they've returned from annihilation with iridescent expression, heralding joy in spite of darkness. They glimmer a way through, speak beyond themselves, knowing that none that start the pilgrimage will be there to end it, but sustained on the sweat sipped from resilience. They know death is just the middle of the story. And what needs to happen will, that they can either let go or be dragged. And you, in the cracked chrysalis of your conviction, shun the light you've let in, shining where you've been hiding, recovery reversed, a perversion of place, what protected slipped into a prison. Fear is a compass. Use it. And dance sequined through monochrome. Celebrate the tower as it crumbles, the shackle you've convinced is comfort. Glitter where you rot, gild where you cut, because what you manage to do in the meantime will be found in a fossil in years to come. They will marvel at your colour. Thanks very much. A little bit of an Irish language lesson there as well. Fantastic. Okay, so I think we're about ready to kick off the second half of the Violette records for tonight, with the shortest bio in history, I think, but I don't think he needs anything else in the bio. You all know him. So please welcome Roy to the digital stage at WoWFEST.
Yes. Hello, everybody. My name's Roy. I am from a small fishing village in the north end of Liverpool called Walton. I'm going to tell you a little story about Walton, but just want to show you what these stories are brought to you in association with. You get me? Who's onto it? So, I lived in Walton for 25 years, and they fucking, writing was like a secret. I didn't tell anybody. I started doing it in the late 90s, and just this one instance, I had my first flat. I was about 20, and it's one of those 3 o'clock in the morning things where everyone's fucked, and some lad goes, "Anyone got any ciggies?" No one answers him, because if you don't use someone's name specifically, you just get blanked. Has anyone got any cigs? Just blanked. And then eventually he just goes, "Is there no bifters whatsoever?" And everyone just went, they thought he was being clever for using the word whatsoever, and they ostracized him. "Who the fuck do you think you are, you fucking prick?" This kid ended up in Scotland on Smack. I don't know whether there's a link, but just after that, I thought, I'm not telling them the right stories. Fuck that. There you go. This one is called Points of View. It's unusual that I'm at home of a daytime. The presence of a plumber has determined that here I am. I'm unsure on the etiquette. It's polite to offer a brew, but do I turn my music down while he works? Engage in inane chit-chat because my anxiety won't allow silence. The uncertainty of life, eh? There's no blueprint that enables me to cope with such a calamity, but the kettle's going on anyway. I'll change my bed and find the courage to inquire what Billy Blue Collar here would like to drink. Sliding one of my Egyptian goose down pillows into its White Company pillowcase, I wonder what he makes of the sounds of Aldous Harden that are currently floating through the airwaves. I imagine he's the type of fella who doesn't wonder what he's doing in Dubai. I've got the kettle on there, mate. What are you having? Mate, listen to me. One of the boys, mate. Okay, thanks. I'll have a tea, please. Have you got any soya milk? Of course I've got soya milk. I'm the only fucking vegan in Anfield, mate. Yeah, I've got some sugar. I'll have a spoonful of honey. Have you got it? I've got fucking Manuka honey here, mate. Yeah, sure, no problem. Oh, cheers, pal. Is this Aldous Harden you're playing? I loved their first album. You'll really like Jessica Pratt if you're into this. I don't remember booking a fucking music critic to fix my sink. Yeah, I'll check it out. Sounds interesting. Fucking prat indeed. The relative insignificance of his opinion is not lost on me. Placing all the crockery onto the tray, I decide not to engage with this smart ass any further. Just get the U-bend sorted. I'll leave this here, mate. Almost immediately, he's up from underneath the sink, leaping like a 2006 Tim Cale at the back post. Nice all the Keeley mugs. Me nan's got them. Is he taking the piss, this cunt? His nan? This isn't the fucking culture show, man. Get the job done. Speaking of which, I've got emails I can be sending while this cretin gets on with what I'm paying him for. Oh, thanks for the brew, mate. I'll get on with this now. I should be done in 10 minutes, you know, then I'll be off. Yeah, I'll endeavour not to get delirious with grief then, eh? Okay, mate, I'll be in the back room on the laptop. The next 10 minutes are spent frantically researching Jessica Pratt on Spotify and YouTube, with a face that displays all the disappointment of a kid who's dropped a sausage roll in a puddle. I've concluded that she's actually quite good. Really fucking good, if truth be told. That's all done now, fella. Do you want me to leave an invoice, or I'd rather sort it now if it means we have no further communication? No, I'll pay now if that's all right, mate. On the way back from collecting my wallet from the bedroom, there's a knock at the door. What kind of madness is this? I don't even ring people uninvited. It's fucking barbaric. Oh, I like your wallet, mate. Harris Tweed, is it? I've got one like that myself. Of course you have, mate. Of course you fucking have. I'm greeted with what might be an apparition. An elderly woman beckoning another elderly woman from the bottom of the pack. Religious nutters, no doubt. Decent tactics from the Jesus firm. It's harder to slam the door on a pensioner. Things have just gotten a bit freakier, because when the Al Biddy #1 eventually catches her sister up, I realise the twins, identical twins, rarer than a full set of teeth at an EDL rally. Before they even speak, they've disarmed me, like the unwanted family pet that's gently removed the threatening veneer of a surly teenager. I even tip Walter Mitty on his way out. He gives our geriatric double act a nod of his head as he exits and trudges towards his white van. I bet you he's never heard of Kate Le Bon, has he? I hope you don't mind us calling in unannounced. This throws me a bit. They're probably lost or senile or both. Who is it you're looking for? Are you lost? Oh, no. This is number 31, isn't it? It is, yeah. I've not long moved in, though. Are you looking for the woman who used to live here? We're not looking for anyone in particular. We used to live here. Can we come in? Not in the habit of inviting strangers in, like, but what harm can it do? Yeah, go on, follow me. The one who's doing all the talking gesticulates towards her sister. I motion for them to sit on the couch, and after an age, they eventually do. Anyway, I'm Ray. Can I take your coat? No, thanks. We won't be staying. I remain standing, basking in the glow of palpable relief that they're fucking off soon. So, what can I do for yous? Jumping straight over the fence of small talk purgatory, the talker makes her point. Nothing really. We're just visiting all our former homes before we die. Life moves around us, you see, not with us. I just nod my head as I simultaneously study their oblique facial features. They're waiting for a response. When did you live here? 1971 to 1981. Ah, right. Glam rock and disco, eh? No, we were punks. I haven't even asked their names. Their air of mystery has assured me not to. I bet yous had Mohican hairstyles and that, didn't yous? They make eye contact with each other. The one who is yet to speak shakes her head. Just want to have a look around and, see if it's the same as when yous left. It's a solid old place, this, and I got it for cheap. I've turned into some Kevin McLeod dickhead. Yes, please. We were hoping to. I wait meekly as they attempt to raise themselves up off the couch. It takes decidedly longer than it did for them to sit down. And note that the mute one keeps motioning to her sister. who keeps patting her on the shoulder and nodding. I don't think this room was here when you lived here, you know. Those windows are pretty modern. No, they weren't. The silent sister then forces me to intensify my concentration. It seems we occupy very different worlds within the same geographical space. Seems she's transferred her muteness onto me now. I feel like an unwanted guest in my own home, and they sense it. What she means is, times are different now. Yeah, too fucking right they are. The past will always be viewed through rainbow-tinted glasses. And if you're not fulfilled in the present, oh, here we go. Should have trusted me instincts, the fucking God Squad. How am I going to get rid of them? The time-honoured classic of looking at me watch might work. It doesn't. You know, you have to live in dreams when you've got nothing. For fuck's sake. It's important to live the life you imagined. Oh, they've teamed up now, taking turns to convert me. Love is not a neutral force. It's a power that stops us arriving at the junction of despair, annihilated and worthless. Look, I'm due in work soon. I'm going to have to jump in the shower, you know. Compassionate deception, I call this. I'm not lying, really. It works, whatever. They exchange glances and allow me to usher them out into the hallway. Just one more thing we like to do before we go. Can we give you a hug? I'm not much of a hugger, but if it gets these fuckers out of me gaff swiftly, I'll make an exception. Go ahead then. And that's it. That's the last thing. I wake up on the hallway floor and it's dark. I hurriedly investigate every room as I return to consciousness. The place has been fucking ransacked. Jewelry, cash, car keys, scran out the fridge, every bastard thing of value. A note's been left inside one of my All Achille mugs. Upon unfolding it, it reads, "The most personal is also universal." The cheeky old cunt helped the fucking aged my ass. The demoralising realization of what's happened hits home. Getting robbed bad enough, but fuck me, by a pair of ancient con artists. There's no chance I can report this or even tell anyone. It's almost as embarrassing as the experience of receiving musical tips from a plumber, a soya milk drinking plumber, probably not even a vegan, more likely lactose intolerant. Everyone's got to be fucking something these days, haven't they? That's that one. The lack of applause is killing me. Like, so if you all scream and shout and you're pretty local, I might hear it. Don't know. Yeah, I can hear someone up there. Okay, this next one is a very, very, very short story. And a few weeks ago, somebody, Angela on Twitter, posted a photograph of Walton Nurses Club in about 1983, 4, something like that. Now, I was 2, 3 at the time the picture was taken. I haven't lived around there for a long time. It's not even there now. I haven't had a fucking drink for years. But I looked at this photo and just went, I need to be there. I need to grow a muzzy, put a Slazenger jumper on and a pair of drain pipes and samba, and just because that looks like the fucking place to be. I'll post a picture later. It's fucking amazing. So I wrote this short story. This is my imaginary night out in Walton Nurses Club in 1983. What the fuck is this metropolis? Looks like my kind of gaff. A few cans of Skol, an argument over taxi fare, then a scrap outside with a fella called Alan, who will actually roll the sleeves up of his jacket before I boot him full force in the bollocks and head to Pepper's with Jill, a barmaid from Litherland. I bunked the train to QPR the next day. We lost 3-2, but I'm more of a man than you. The end. I used to hang around near there, Rice Lane. Used to sit off in a caravan. Don't know which caravan it was. We just used to break in. And basically, I was like 12. We used to watch people. I did anyway, watch people smoking. Because when I was 12, I thought I was going to be a footballer. So I wouldn't smoke. And every time we'd leave, there'd be these fellas arguing in the street, pissed. I'm 12, just fascinated by it. And one of the fellas every night, because he must have been the fucking knobhead of the group, because they'd just palm him off, and he'd get off, and he'd always shout to them, "I'm more of a man than you." And it just stuck with me. Okay, this next story is called "A Bad Dancer Always Blames His Kecks," which a Portuguese fella told me is their version of "A bad workman always blames his tools." Now, I hope he's taking the piss out of me, but works anyway. Okay. Have you got a spare phone I can use? The existential disillusionment and sudden monotony of my day has been interrupted. I'm undecided as to whether it's a welcome interruption yet. What's a spare phone anyway? No, I haven't. She looks put out, offended almost. A ciggy then? The fuck is this? I don't smoke. She raises both eyebrows, lowers them, then raises them again. I survey her face, and although there's a lot going on, I'm not particularly getting much from it. It's a symmetrical face, that's all I can say. And although her appearance gives off the impression that she really fucking smells, she actually doesn't. I'm just vacantly smiling as she gives me what is admittedly quite an accomplished shrug. This woman is definitely not armoured with the world's rewards. She breaks into an awkward smile. I will say that I can now detect a hint of magnificence amongst the squalor. I can pay. She taps the breast pocket of her oversized spray-weight jacket. Well, if you can pay, why don't you go and buy some bifters or a phone? They only cost about £5 now. She empties the contents of her pocket and unfurls a load of crumpled notes, 10s and 20s into the palm of her hands. Would you go to shop for me, please? I'm feeling wound up now. Not necessarily at her, but how I constantly seem to attract people. People who are, shall we say, living within the margins. What follows is an uncharacteristic display of brazenness from me. No, I won't, and I prefer it if you fucked off and sat somewhere else. A response, no response, except for her replacing the money back into her pocket and scrutinising my ID lanyard. Not a problem, Richard. I hope your refusal to see beyond the horizon does not come back to permeate you. She adjusts her hair into a ponytail, using an elastic band, whilst maintaining eye contact with me. It's unsettling. I'm unsettled. Am I ever fucking settled? I'm feeling nauseous, dizzy. I come out here to eat me butties, tuna, mayonnaise, vinegar, and white pepper on brown bread. Look, girl, just fuck off. She looks like she's going to burst into tears. I've got no idea why I've been so vulgar towards her. She laughs and duly fucks off. I drift off into a bout of self-loathing and belligerent anxiety. A knock on the window from Lisa, who works in the office next door, stops me from overheating. I'm sweating, but also freezing. She mouths something from the other side of the glass. I can't fathom it out, so I just stick my thumb up and nod my head. My workspace feels hotter than usual. Probably me blood boiling. Doormat or nut job. That's my game. No in between. A or B. No C. Operating at both ends of the scale can be exhilarating, but also fucking exhausting. Time slows, and my imagination's guest list is so strict, even I'm not allowed in. 4 more hours to just sit here and think, look and think. What would I think of me if I wasn't me? Fucking am me though, aren't I? How's it going, Rich? Sound. I'm just chasing overdue invoices up from multi-million-pound organisations, the usual shit. Do you fancy a little bevy after work? I'll see where we're up to, man. I've got to get this done. A definitive answer isn't really an option. He knows I won't go. I know I won't go. We're just playing the game. All right, mate. The Newington at 6, yeah. I feel like they're checking up on me, like I'm suspected of being a suspect. You generally leave me alone. You know, I get my work done like that. Have you got any staples, Rich? Oh, Colette, a mate of me Mars. Have to be extra careful around here. I managed to focus my eyeballs on the screen, reach into the drawer and grab a handful of staples, then launch them in a general direction. An overly dramatic scene ensues where she makes out she's nearly been shot. Gains a load of unnecessary attention, and I get to avoid the futile "how's your ma" consultation. Her husband died a few weeks ago, heart attack. He was a fucking tit anyway. My ma always alluded to the fact that he knocked Colette about, and she does seem happier now anyway. I'm going to walk home tonight. George Clark's Amazing Spaces is on more 4 all night. I need to cool down, man. My head, it's fucking itchy. I've got cramp at this desk. I'm too parrot to take my shoes off. I could do with an haircut and a lobotomy. What time are you leaving, Rich? Tony, bullshitter from Skem. Why, To? You can post these letters off if you're leaving before me. I'm leaving after you. How do you know if you don't know what time I'm? Listen, I'm leaving after you, Tony. I know, but Tony, have you got kids? No, Rich. Well, you don't know what you're fucking talking about then. He screws his stupid Skem face up and offers no response. I'd love to punch him, you know. I open up my Word document, then quickly close it back down again as Gemma the Got bounces in looking for her cup. Childish gets these, Rich. I know someone's been using it, you know. Well, Gemma, I repeatedly told you about my rule of never accepting brews off anyone else and only making them for yourself, thus avoiding all this caper. I've always called you a selfish Tory bastard for that, Rich, but I'm starting to understand the logic behind it. I love Gemma, proper lover, like in love with her. I love her so much that I rob her cup every other day, so she has to come and talk to me. I'm the only one not under suspicion because of my solo brew graft. I don't know whether I'm ready for a relationship, really. I'm not even sure about the concept of readiness, really. Are we all ready? Just sitting off our imaginary traffic lights, waiting for our psychological illuminations to turn green. We're all fucking ready. It's just some of us aren't willing. I'm in between. You know what I mean? I'm not sure. I'm teetering. An offside decision that is impossible to call. That's what it feels like. Mark Lawrenson once likened being offside to being pregnant. You either are or you aren't. If only life was so absolute, Mark, you fucking prick. You'll come round to it one day, Jem. It's inevitable. I'm not ruling it out, mate. How's the Tinder thing going for you anyway? Ah, it's all right. I'm going to see his band on Friday, actually. Do you fancy it? No. I hate floppy-haired dickheads who use guitars as an extension of their pretend enlightenment. I bet you he's told you he's written a song about you, hasn't he? Watch these dickheads, Jem. When the thrill of having an arty boyfriend wears off, you'll realise that he's just as narcissistic as the other wanker you were with. She looks genuinely aggrieved. I've blown it, man. A simple no would have sufficed, Richard. I've always been pretty good at dismantling someone's confidence. Even better at demolishing my own, really. And I've no idea why I do it. But then I suppose Mark Lawrenson's got no idea why he's such a tit. Rich, fire alarm's making a weird noise. Paul, harmless wool, health and safety mad. And what? Well, have you any idea what's up with it? No. Paul is the sort of person who'd walk down the street eating an apple. The fucking weirdo. We all know what Paul, don't we? Okay, last one now. It's my mate's birthday today as well. I think he's watching. Gary Bandit, all the fucking best, lad. 49 today, man. So 50th next year, we'll do something nice with that. This is, I don't know what this is, to be honest. But it's called The Ballad of the Short Distance Walker. If you can just put yourself in the autumn of 1987 for this. It should work better. Polaroid people in the 80s with shirt sleeves melted into dark swirling couches, smiles that contradict the scenery, stray cans of harp mingling with palm-treed wallpaper, tears for fears, kids slurping cans of lilt, challenge Annika on the telly with the sound turned down, corned beef ash, ciggies, Brill cream, sweat dripping off the end of your dad's nose as he fucks about with a screwdriver behind the telly, the chart show, matching clobber with your little brother, volleying your sister's My Little Pony, being terrified of the team show to the South Bank show, practicing your overhead kicks on your ma's bed with a pair of rolled up footy socks, Esther Ranson's teeth, getting a pepperami from the quickie because you went with your ma, the taste of Vosine on your tongue, nylon, not wanting to cry, violence at Christmas, bitter lemon, angel delight, worrying about getting your butties wet, fighting wolves in Southport, summer rain, Fiesta plug cars, falling slates off a roof, pretending to laugh, getting knocked out, being unable to get comfy, not knowing what day it is, rolls of lino, splitting your head open, being made up your auntie died, seeing your cousin on Crime Watch, kipping on the couch for 4 years straight, chopped pork butties, calling a fish cake a savoury cake, getting a bracelet from Argos for your birthday, putting a jumper on to go to Uncle Sam's, punching your mate in the head because he looked at you funny after he beat you on Super Mario Kart, getting told to eat your tea because there are people starving in the world, never putting your hood up, your neighbour losing the plot, every dad in your street helping to collect bommy wood, entrenched behaviours, hopeless bastards, smashing the telly in when Norman Whiteside scored the winner against Everton in the FA Cup final 1985, ganja leaf tattoos, prison physique, lads with earrings, weed droughts, dressing slyness up as concern, mint, jelly, being a smug couple of cunts, not understanding why, never understanding why, nobody listening, nobody ever fucking listening, never particularly wanting to die, but being glad when you did. Stalk margarine, loneliness that hangs in the air. If the sound of an unwanted alarm had a face, it'd be yours. Unwelcome yet necessary. White, sun-blessed bread. Slapheads in flip-flops. Disco bunnies in Alexander McQueen trainees. The faded dreams of a non-league footballer. Petitions to bring back Brookside. Mixed race girls from Kirkdale. Mad Polish lads with elasticated ankles on their jeans. Not actually having to have a Ketwig to be a Ketwig. Not answering withheld numbers. Organised criminals not being very organised. Asking people if it's okay to like salad. Emptying the contents of your teacher's briefcase out the window because he blamed you for throwing a mouthful of pineapple hubba bubba at his head. It was me. Kicking off over a mattress topper. Eventually battering your mate because of his weird conspiracy theories. Marrying a chronic fault finder. Picking your nose and still going the party. Pink Floyd are fucking shite. Proving your own worst fear by trying to disprove it. Taking a banner to match with "Please like me" on it. The dawning realization that you just can't do this anymore, then doing it loads more anyway. People cluttering up your mind. Time destroying everything. The start is the end, more or less. Is it better to fight against something or stand for? Would you rather be right or happy? The end. That was inspired by me ma, that, unbelievably. Oh, you're watching, Mum. You can have that one. Thanks for listening, everybody. See you later.
Cheers, Roy. That was absolutely amazing. There's so much love for that on Facebook. People loving your lockdown haircut. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. You're a boring storyteller. Someone said that Tony Bullshitter from Skem should be a business card, which I think is great. Never eaten an apple in the street again. And I could listen to PJ read my shopping list. Lots of love to you there, Roy. Thank you so much. All right, we have come to the final poet of our evening. I really hope you've enjoyed it. The next poet up is absolutely stunning. Toya Garba is a poet and educator, and since bursting onto the scene in 2014, she's been a regular tour support of Dr. John Cooper Choir. In 2016, she released her debut album, Hot Plastic Moon, on Nymphs and Tugs. And in 2018, her first poetry collection, The Universe and Me, was published by Wrecking Ball Press. She's been featured in Not Too Tamed Northern Souls show at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and in The Guardian on their feature on the rise and rise of new poets. Benjamin Zephaniah called her powerful, accessible, intelligent, and musical. Just about all the things I love in a poet. We've had Toya at the festival events before, and you are in for a treat if you do not already know who she is. So please raise your glasses, clap your hands for the amazing Toya Garba.
Hi everybody, I'm Toya Garba. I'm from Nottingham, and I'm going to do a few poems for you about growing up and a few poems about where I'm at now. So this first one's called Subway. That in-between space in Ferry Shop Square, where girls and boys can kiss, spit, kick, bin, sweat, shiver and swear. Gob off at coppers, spray words on wall like Baz, for Shaz, TLFE, or I was here, IDST, just hanging around, drinking 2020. Yeah, mate, I was here. For some reason, I never right understood right here in Notler instead of Hollywood in 1933. Nah, not me, mate. I were here, Notler, 1993. Where Tracy's got AIDS and Shaz is a slag and Twocko's a puff and Tina's on skag and Packy's don't fucking belong over here. Yeah, that's where I were, mate. I was here. I've driven through it. Everyone goes that in-between place that nobody knows, where nobody's been and nobody stops in case the fucking wheel trims get ripped off. Nobody's had a sign on Racker Green. Nobody stopped at Morag's for a pot of hot tea now. Nobody's been through Snicket at back of GT's where the words are still on wall from 1984. Thatcher fucked us up. Thank you very much. This next one is about my first ever kiss, and it's called First Kiss. My first ever kiss was John Paul Kowalczyk, Kowalczyk. His mum were called Julie, and his granddad were Polish, and I know this because I've loved him for years. Held his hand in my head hundreds of times, hoped and hoped one day he'd be mine. But I was fat. And then in year 6 I got fit and he asked me out. Wow, man, I couldn't believe it. Girls swarmed around like bees, socks pulled up right at knees. John Paul says, will you meet him? Me with my boyfriend, and then with theirs. 6 of us lined up in pairs against a concrete wall at Sports Centre. Naked. We necked loads after that. Down Ginnells in quarries in Park, up Quacky, coggied me up Brew Mill and back, midnight in shining shell suit. Do you remember that time on my bed? You tasted like chicken tiki, some were proper freezing, you were eager, you went, let's kiss like they do it on telly. Took my face in your hands and squished your lips all over mine, and all the time, I'm feeling sorry for chicken, or thinking how your breath was stinking of spices and flesh, mate. I brushed my teeth as soon as you left. You give me glass for gifts, we lit incense sticks and listened to Gabrielle. We smoked together as well. JP and Vicky, TLFE, true love forever. IDST, our love, were boundless. It grew and grew and grew. And then on the day before high school, don't you? Thank you. Thank you very much. So, so this next poem is about a friend of mine called Roche, who I knocked about within Nottingham. This is for him, and it's called No Matters Now. I've never performed it sitting down, actually, so let's see. In Notler, we smoke smack for pain, to hide the guilt and blame and shame of unemployment. We play guitars and gaze at stars to feel warm and safe and happy. We're just grungers and flower children, these 90s mop-haired lovers and slackers who pile into transit vans and blag it into Glastonbury. Our art is beautiful. It's Hendrix and Pixies and 60s psychedelia, and Cecilia is breaking our hearts, man. She's breaking our fucking hearts. Oasis acts, tinnies and flares, Britpop blasts and blares through Warwick Estate on Carnival Day. We win goldfish, then we eat them for dares. Act a twat in front of Mary Ponte, I kid this and I kid that, our nasal tones right suited, man. My mate Roche, fucking mad for it, man. He showed me this trick with his fist in pissing down rain in park. We held invisible umbrellas over his heads and stayed out till dark, dry, as my nana's scones, mate. You were this, ballerina boy in a hat. On a mission to Brough Woods, with a guitar on your back, with weed and beer and stories and smack. An all-timing world to do mad stuff like that. Thought we'd be here forever, weightless and old, burning rocks instead of coal, burning for his father's and his grandfather's souls. But muckers don't stay muckers when sun's gone down. When honeymoon is over and you're rattling for brown and you drop your mother's wedding ring and flog it uptown, because nothing is sacred when sun's gone down, when you're gagging for a bag and your nose is on drip and you take your man's last tenner for a quick and easy fix. Because no matters now, mucker, no matters now. That night, you walked home from your dad's. You didn't make it past railway tracks. Were you acting fucking stupid? Did you lay down to look at stars and fall asleep? Or did you weep and wait for death to take you? Mate. Oh, mate. I wish that I'd been with you, because I'd have held my fist above you and kept you dry. Thank you very much. Thank you. This next poem I'm going to read from my book. It's my own personal copy, so it's disgustingly tatty with the back cover missing and everything. But if you'd like to buy one in immaculate condition, you can have a look on my Twitter. That'd be dead nice. This is called The Universe of Me, and it's about a time in my life when we moved out of Nottingham into a little village on the outskirts called Kellington. And I'm probably about 15 here, and it's about that time. It's called The Universe of Me. That in-between space after school before tea, just sunshine and telly and settee and me. Tired and happy and hollow and free, just sunshine and telly and settee and me. A waft of snags and mash and that comes curling across the room. And my mum's making up all words to a 90s Britpop tune. She's like, girls who are boys, who are girls who are boys, who are dee, you and me, baby. Oh, bless her little socks off, the soft and pink and cotton. She'll probably had a bobbly cardi on, but don't ask because I've forgotten. She's cute and small and mumsical, a twirling ballerina. She's Andy Pandy, Bill and Ben in our living room arena. Me mum, she's chopping spam, she's feeding our chihuahua. She's teaching me the elegance of matriarchal power. She's spinning plates on roller skates and serving with a smile. She's sat her ass on toilet, so she'll probably be a while. It smells of snags and peas and mash and tastes like bisto gravy. It feels like fur, it sounds like blur, it's the end of back tongue, baby. It looks like suns and moons and stars and giant yellow teacups. It feels like Docs and Nye socks and Marks and Spencer's C cups, that in between space after tea before bed. When you're meant to do your own work, but you're watching Friends instead, listening to Jim Morrison and floating out your head in a higher dimension than not low. Puffing on a Lambert on a pink blow-up settee in that in-between space before bed and after tea. Praying for forgiveness and praying to be free. Just the sunset and the moonlight and the universe and me. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so I had postnatal depression after my first son, and you know, I spent a lot of years feeling shameful and guilty about that. And then on his 12th birthday last year, I had a realization, and this poem's about that, and it's called Good Mum. Soma, today you are 12. 2 giant silver balloons, a 1 and a 2 suspended like moons. This daft animal song plays by accident on YouTube instead of Happy Birthday, and I just laugh. For once, I'm not crushed by imperfection. In fact, I prefer it. Your brother says, "'Cause it's your birthday, you can punch me on arm." And you do. And that birthday buzz is snuffed like a candle. He cries, and you're too hard on yourself. You've learned that from me. But this time, I don't react. Today, I am old too. Instead, I respond from a place of love, hold space for peace and calm, and like all pain, it passes with forgiveness and acceptance and strong arms. We go out for breakfast, tell tales over toast. This waitress tells me about her son. We talk about all our sons, those sons we mother on behalf of others. She says, "I can tell you're a good man." And for the first time, I let that land. I am. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. This is a fairly new one. You cannot save the world, sweet child. Cannot make your mum come back or your dad less violent. I see you writing diaries, praying, crying, staying silent. It's okay to speak. It's okay to say, "Stop, I don't want it." None of it is your fault, and you cannot fix it. It gets better, sweet child. You'll grow out of your puppy fat armor. You'll get skinny and tall and loud. You'll attract the wrong attention and fall black-eyed, red-lipped into the wrong crowd, but you can still say no. Or you don't have to fuck them all to spare their feelings. Don't have to lay there wincing, open-legged, staring up at Arctic ceilings. I want you to know that I love you and that you are enough exactly as you are, small thing. Let yourself stay in, go to your grandma's and read books. Keep your lungs and conscience clean, sweet thing. Whatever you do, just don't fall for him. Thanks very much indeed. I was going to do one more, but I feel like I've whipped through that. So perhaps I ought to do a little extra one before. This one's called Dares Not to Dream. And actually, if you have a look on YouTube, I collaborated on this poem with a young lad called Sonny Litton, who produced the music for it, and he was only 12 when we collaborated. So this is the poem called Dares Not to Dream. Shit sticks in corners of forgotten towns. where mums shoot smack in dressing gowns and old women weathered as dwellers. They sit by the Sen, sup pints at 11, no coffee mornings for these old lasses, no OAP yoga classes. They've come here to forget. And they've come to put their minds at rest. And what a fucking dreadful mess. What a fucking mess. And they are strong as Yorkshire tea. Where sovereigns like Indian feathers, they are chiselled from the rocks of Leeds, and this is where they live and breathe. This is where they cannot sleep. This is where they weep at night. This is where they weep. And her head's hurting her. Just there, this chicken hand on silver hair when she remembers. Blows smoke rings up to heaven, wipes froth on a button sleeve. Dares not to dream. Dares not to dream. Dares not to dream. This one's called I Wore Hope, and it was inspired by Louise Fazacoli. I made my dress from all my lovers, a hot patchwork frock stitching brother to brother to brother, and big belt hands wrapped tight around my waist, and warm mouths whispered in my ears soft as lace, and I wore lust all day. And I wore lust all day. I made my dress from leaves and flowers, walked barefoot through concrete towers, threw down my hood, embraced the rain, and I wore hope all day. And I wore hope all day. I made my dress from all my sisters, stitched so long that I got blisters, pulled silver threads from moon to wombs, and I wore strength all day. And I wore strength all day. Okay, so I will move on to my last one now. It's called Good Enough, and I've done quite a lot of work in prisons with young men, and this poem I wrote after my first ever experience in Hull HMP, and it's called Good Enough. We sit in a circle, me and these lads, these tattooed, lassoed scallywags, and I know them quick as a click. Because these are the lads of my youth. If I close my eyes, I'm back in school, back at the class, gobbing off, or playing it cool. Or I'm on the grandstand in the park drinking Mad Dog 2020 before it even gets dark. These are the lost brothers of my tribe. Those ones who fucked up and fucked off and ended up banged up inside. We sit and talk. They suss me out and I tell them everything. Stretch my heart and mind wide open and I tell them you can do this because I'm imperfect too. And here's the best bit in this class: the worse your stories, the better you'll do. They pass around my book and say rate nice stuff and make me feel accepted. And within 5 minutes, we establish we are equally respected. They talk about their birds in words I'd never heard about me. Hope to fucking God she'll still be there when I walk free. And they talk in these mad contradictions. This one lad, yeah, don't see how funny he is, would give you his last 20p, or this most generous thief. And he sits and he's fired up to fuck and he tells me that he can't feel emotions and I want to make him see. So I nod my head and agree and then try to implant these new thoughts subliminally, and I tell him, oh mate, you can do whatever you want if you believe. And then he tells me why he likes to clean. He tells me why he likes to clean, that as a teen that he did it for his mum and that he made the tea so that she wouldn't get hiding when a fella got in, and then he runs past me this long, loud, fast list of this and then this and then this and then this and then this. Expecting that at the end that I must be truly convinced that yes, this lad here cannot feel. Tell him that I understand and that all of those things have been kept out to survive. But I tell him that if he starts to write, that slowly and safely it can all come out, and that if he'll let himself open just a tiny little bit, he might start to feel love once he's cleared out some shit. And he sits and frowns and he protests again, and I beam back wide-eyed hope. And he picks up his pen. And that lad opposite is sensible and kind. He lost his baby, then he lost his mind till hate burst from his fist and all over her face. And then 2 years later, he's got a qualification in counselling, and he's truly grateful for this place. Some of them are relieved to have had time to let wounds heal and form scars. And then the lad to my right, he's the one. He's the one that I'll cry about when I'm in bed tonight, because some of them get right in your heart and you're not entirely sure why. He's a man with a wide-eyed, dadless sadness of a young boy, and I tell him, well done, until it is embedded so deep that he hears, well done, lad, in his fucking sleep. And I tell him, mate, please, replace those harsh inner words with new ones. Speak to yourself like a child, like I've done after years of bad lad, slag, shit, mum. These can be our new ones. We are good enough. We are good enough. We are good enough. We are good enough. We are all good enough. Thanks ever so much, everybody. Thank you for having me. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Doria. That was an absolutely storming set. There is so much love from the live stream coming in. People saying that your outfit is pure 70s Cher vibes, which is too good. I love your accent. Someone got shivers from your poems, and someone said matriarchal power. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Right, guys, that is it from us tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching some, as you can see, some fantastic poetry and stories and spoken word tonight. Please do consider donating to this event. All the proceeds do go to charities and the artists, so that is, your money will be well spent. You can check out the videos online afterwards, so if anyone that you know couldn't tune in or wasn't around tonight, you can send them to the videos there. Please do fill out the monitoring forms. Even though we're digital, we're still doing the monitoring forms, so you haven't escaped that quite yet. They will be posted on the live stream comments, so please just have a little click and it'll take you 2 seconds. It's really, really simple. Check out the rest of the program. Like I've said, we've got some fantastic events coming up for the rest of the festival, so do not miss it. Don't want to miss them at all. Again, a big thank you to our sponsors, Arts Council England, Liverpool City Council, the Institute for Creative Enterprise at Edgehill University, Unison Northwest, Liverpool John Moores University. Thank you to you for checking in and being part of this. Thank you so much for Light Night for having this as part of their fantastic festival. I'm sure they've got loads more stuff going on for the rest of the evening, so do check that out as well. Thank you so much, Toria, Roy, Will, and Carla. It's been an absolutely fantastic lineup tonight, and it's such a pleasure to be hosting you tonight. Have a lovely rest of your evening. Have a nice bev. It's a Friday night. Stay safe, stay connected, stay happy, and we'll see you all really, really shortly for more WoWFEST events. That's all from me. Thank you and good night.